W. Kamau Bell, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
At what point did you first realize that race could be funny?
I think that's just been a part of my life. You know, as a black person in America, you have to sort of find humor in race or else you go crazy. So I think it's just always been a part of my household.
When did it become something accessible that you realized, oh, I can work with this, I can do something with this?
As a comic, I was just trying to do things that were funny, and I sort of went back and forth talking about race a lot, not at all, because it was always a difficult subject to sort of like get an audience to want to engage in a long form way. Like you could make individual jokes, I felt, or I could, but I couldn't get like long form pieces out. And so when I wrote the W. Kamau Bell Curve, Ending Racism in About an Hour, which I did every night, people really were able to sort of understand the context of what I was talking about, and then the jokes were hit harder.
Whenever we talk about racism, we usually focus on like level 5 racism. That's the scary racism. The racism we read about in the history books. The racism we see on the 11 o'clock news. We call that Texas racism. But what about all those other levels of racism? We never talk about those. Like level 1 racism. It happens every day, usually around the water cooler, at the Xerox machine, often while holding a latte. We call that Berkeley racism.
There's something about being the black guy with something to say that means something culturally that I don't know if you find that endearing or empowering or restrictive. How do you view that?
The minute you step on stage, your vessel determines a lot of what the audience expects from you. And then it's your job to either play into that or subvert it. And I feel the more aware you are of what the audience expects of you, the more you can have fun playing with it. And so for me, like, you know, there is a cultural history of the black guy with something to say, but there's not really a cultural history of the big black guy with something to say.
Right.
And I think over time I learned how to do that. As Chris Rock said about me talking to somebody else, which I thought was a great way to put it, he's like, Kamau can express anger with a smile. I want to express my anger, but I have to do it in a way that doesn't clear the room.
I think when we imagine the first black president, I don't think we imagine it to be Barack Obama. I think, especially black people, I think we have some idea the first black president would be something like, you know, like they get the DNA of Martin Luther King Jr. and splice together with a young Cassius Clay and put Malcolm X's brain in there and raise him in Detroit, and you'd be like, I'm the black president! Ah! You're like a superhero.
When did you start getting interested in stand-up?
I mean, that's probably, once I found out you couldn't actually be a superhero, like that wasn't a legitimate
That
job
was
option.
it?
Yeah, when I was like, I want to be Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk. Oh, you can't be that? Then I'll be Bill Cosby or Eddie Murphy.
There you go, which I think gives you more power.
It does give you more power, yes,
Exactly.
yeah. You know, Bill Cosby could buy and sell Spider-Man if you wanted.
You were born in the Bay Area, you were born in Palo Alto, bounced around a lot.
Yes.
Came back, and now you're in New York.
Yes.
Doing Totally Biased. Yeah. How much did the Bay Area play into not only your views of race, but also your views of comedy?
I mean, the Bay Area comedy scene is legendary, you know, going back to like when the Hungry Eye was a jazz club, you know, so the Bay Area, like Lenny Bruce, I think we were the first place to arrest Lenny Bruce. We have that honor.
I believe so.
Yeah, so the Bay Area comedy scene has been since the modern era of stand-up comedy has been legendary, and still to this day turns out great comedians.
Intimidating
like
comedy
this
scene?
guy.
Exactly, you know.
No, it's really, because the scene, at least when I was there, it's gotten a lot bigger because of the internet. It's really small and welcoming, and if you sort of like show up and show loyalty and show talent, the scene embraces you. And also, generally we like nice people, so like it's not really cutthroat. If you're a good person and you show loyalty to the clubs and you show talent, the scene really wants to promote you. The Bay Area comedy scene really likes raising new comedians, which a lot of scenes don't. They just want to find great ones.
So you catch the attention of Chris Rock.
Yes.
Who decides, this guy's got something, I can do something with this.
Yeah, apparently that's what he decided. I was doing my show, The Bell Curve, in New York at the UCB Theater, and you know, as a comic, after you get to a certain level of comedy, you're only like 1 or 2 degrees of separation from every other comic, because all comics work with younger comics. So I knew people who knew him, but he was still like a hologram to me. Like, it wasn't somebody that I could talk to. So he came backstage at the end of a show I did at UCB. I didn't know he'd been in the audience. And he sort of floated backstage dressed in black like it was the Matrix. And
which he may well have been.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and he said, yeah, you're funny. And he sort of threw it away like that. Ah, you're funny. He's like, and I don't think a lot of people are funny, so take that for what it means. And I was like, I'm going to quote you on that and put it on everything I have.
Exactly.
And you know, and then he's like, where do you live? I said, San Francisco. He said, move. There's nothing there. And by that he means there's no industry here, which is true. I would stay here if there was an entertainment industry here, but there's not. There is a little bit, but not an active full-time industry that can employ lots of people. And you can't make like a national TV show out of here, as much as I would love to.
You've also described yourself, and I have to admit, I'm not sure I like this word, partly because it probably applies to me too, as a blurred,
a
black nerd?
The minute you say blurred, you actually get access to a lot of other black intelligent people. And I want access to those people.
Okay.
And I want those people to know that I'm there for them.
So it's about opening the door.
It's about opening the door. And then once you get inside, do whatever you want to do.
Right. Totally Biased is about to go to 5 nights a week.
Yes.
It's a big vote of confidence from FX. How do you view your next steps? Where do you want to go from here?
I just have to get better at all aspects of being the host of Totally Biased. And every television talk show host had humble beginnings, and every television talk show host who's been given the time to get better has gotten better at it, and then finds their own style and becomes the brand. You know, FX is going to give me the time to figure out my brand, and I appreciate that because I got to get better at all aspects of it.
W. Kamau Bell, Totally Biased on FX, 5 nights a week. Congratulations. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.